Growing up, I never needed to take a book bag to school, mainly because my triple chins could carry everything I needed to take for a school day. And unfortunately for me, the first thing that someone sees when they see you is your face. So at my peak of fatness, I was turning more people into stone than Medusa. So in this video, I'm going to go over some tips and advice I'll do to try and rectify that. The first thing and the most important thing is to be in a calorie deficit, eating less calories than what you burn on a daily basis. You can find this out by looking at any online calculator, just filling out your information and your stats, and it'll give you a total base sums to go off. Eating 500 calories less than that per day will result in a weekly weight loss of £1. Eating 1,000 calories less than that on a daily basis will result in £2 a week lost. Secondly, while you're sustaining that calorie deficit, where you lose fat is completely out of your control. You can lose fat from absolutely anywhere. It can be from your face, from your arms, from your back, from your ass. It can be from absolutely anywhere. And typically what I find is the most stubborn areas are the areas you hate the most. These areas are more stubborn than Piers Morgan, but the longer you stay patient within that calorie deficit, you will start seeing the results that you want to in the areas you want to. It's just about being patient and consistent. And you will definitely start seeing changes, especially while being in a calorie deficit, because when you're in a deficit, obviously you're eating less food, meaning you're going to be eating less carbohydrates. And this is important because you're going to be more flushed out. As for every 1 gram of carbohydrates you eat, you store 4 grams of water. So there's naturally cutting down on carbohydrates from naturally being in a deficit. You're going to be a bit more flushed out from water weight and water retention. So there's cutting out carbs naturally from being in a deficit. It's going to go a long way and be more flushed out and seeing a bit more of a change in your face and other areas of your body. But it is important to make sure you drink plenty of water on a daily basis. This is because obviously in a deficit, you're going to be a bit more hungry, but drinking a lot of water, maybe 2 to 3 litres per day, it helps expand your stomach out and helps keep you more full. And also with that, there's no need to actually cut out carbohydrates completely on a keto diet. You can still have them in your daily diet. It's just actually a good energy source to have. So there's absolutely no need to go on keto, and make sure you drink plenty of water on a daily basis to keep hydrated and more full. So what do we actually do while we're being patient within a calorie deficit? One of those things can be to include more cardio on a daily basis. The cardio I prefer doing is walking because it's low impact. I can just fit into my daily routine, and I set myself a step goal every day I know I can achieve, meaning I'm going to be burning more calories, therefore putting me more into a calorie deficit. But with that, there's no need to go absolutely berserk on doing endless amounts of cardio, because the main bulk of your calorie burn per day will come through your BMR. So let's say you naturally burn off 2,500 calories daily. That's going to be a lot of effort to try and burn that off just through cardio. So that's going to be the main bulk of your calorie burn, and cardio is just a sprinkle on top of that, maybe 200 or 300 extra calories per day. It's not a lot, but it's going to go a long way in the long run of being consistent and patient, or being in that deficit. My next piece of advice would be to go to the gym and lift weights if you want to. It's just good for body recomposition when you're losing fat but building muscle at the same time. It just makes you look a bit more better, rather than just losing weight really rapidly and looking a bit frail at the end of it. There's obviously no harm in doing that, but if I could tell my former self, it would be to go to the gym and lift weights and have a structured routine that I could follow, that is consistent with me and something I could actually do and progress and get better at. So with that, when you go to the gym, you want to make sure you lift intensely, and that's going to help put muscle onto your frame and try and increase your exercises from week to week with either weight or repetition. Eat a lot of protein and have a lot of recovery. That's going to help the muscle fibers you've torn down and grow bigger and stronger. Also with that, muscle is more metabolically active compared to fat, and that just means that you burn more calories at rest when you have more muscle compared to fat. I think per day, you can burn an extra 6 to 10 calories off if you have 1 pound of muscle extra onto you, compared to fat, which only burns about 2 calories off per day. So just with that as well, being more metabolically active with more muscle compared to fat. Also with lifting weights, it helps fill you more out, especially with stuff like your shoulders and your traps. I think it just gives that sort of illusion of your head being a little bit smaller, which can help define your jawline and your face a little bit more. Unless your head's sort of shaped like Carl Pilkington, then you are a bit solid off with that, so apologies, but you can only do the best with what you've been given. So yeah, lifting weights can help fill you more out. Also, with all this information, it's very important to try and manage your stress and also your sleep. Trying to get in a full night's sleep as much as possible is going to be very beneficial, because if you don't, it increases a hormone called ghrelin, which sends signals to the brain wanting you to eat more, and you can definitely overeat on a certain day just from a lack of sleep alone, which could turn your deficit into a maintenance, meaning you're not going to be losing fat. Another thing I want to go over is that loose skin as well in this sort of area. I've watched a few of these videos where people talk about face fat and all that, but this is something people don't really bring up. But obviously when I was fat as anything, losing all that weight leaves you with loose skin over. So and then the face is definitely no exception to that. I'm not sure if everyone has this, if I can show it properly, where the skin can be pulled around and all that. It does go straight back in, but yeah, surprisingly I don't go around tugging on people to see if they also have this sort of issue, if you like. But yeah, this is the aftermath of being like proper fat, your skin just pulled around. But I'm not sure if everyone has this, as I said. But yeah, it does go back in. It doesn't really cause much of an issue. It's not like it's just hanging there or anything. But yeah, This is also the loose skin part of this, which is the aftermath of being proper overweight. So yeah, something else that people might not acknowledge is the loose skin as well around that area. And the final thing I want to go over is stuff like jaw exercises. I mean, there'll be probably more chance of seeing me in the barber shop than doing anything like that. Stuff like mewing or anything like that, chewing gum. I mean, I've got no intention of trying to make my tongue's posture as straight as Joe Hart's. So it's not something I'll be doing, mewing or anything like that. I'm not sure if it actually works. I think being in a calorie deficit is a lot more beneficial rather than just like rapidly trying to move your tongue inside your mouth. Maybe it does work. Maybe people are seeing great results from doing it, but it's not something I'll be doing. I think just being in a calorie deficit is the most important thing when it comes to losing the fat, especially in your face and all that, and seeing the defilement you want. Maybe mewing and other jaw exercises do actually have some benefits, but it's not something I've ever taken part in and probably ever won't. So that concludes how I lost face fat. That's normal bland information, but this the most beneficial information that's going to go a long way. Being in a calorie deficit, a sustainable calorie deficit, something you enjoy. Have a high protein diet that can help keep you more full. Also preserve and build muscle mass, especially if you're lifting weights, and making sure you just stick with that deficit and be as patient as possible, and you'll start seeing the results you want. So yeah, that's all the information in this video of how I lost face fat.